Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Luca and I like to talk about books. Once again, I'm going to talk about Alice Oseman. The cat almost lost her toy in the closet, but she didn't lose her toy in the closet. If you hear weird noises, it is my cat, Winona. This thing, this creature, this monster. She likes it, believe me. She's purring. She loves me. Anyway. Hands up. So anyway, okay, so we're going to be talking about Alice Oseman today. We're going to be talking about all the books that Alice Oseman has written, as well as my collection, because I have all of Alice Oseman's books. The only ones I don't have at the moment are the US edition of Solitaire, because it's not out yet, and the US edition of Nick and Charlie, because it's not out yet. The minute that those are released, they're mine. Believe me, it's happening. I tried to pre-order them and couldn't figure it out and got frustrated, but that's okay. Maybe I'll try again now that it's been a couple days since the release info. Alice Oseman is one of my favorite authors. I think that is pretty obvious. Seeing as I have literally all of her books. Yeah, obviously. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to just basically show off what I've got, rank them, and yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with Hardstopper. So this is basically, I think, what made Alice Oseman the most famous. It's a webcomic that she started in 2016. I have been following it since 2017. Not to brag, but I did like it before it was popular. And I was so excited for the Netflix show with Kit Connor. I want to be him. Joe Locke, Sebastian Croft, they're all just wonderful. Love Isaac, as you may know. I did have an entire video about Isaac. I love him. He's one of the best characters in the show. I literally am Isaac. So we're a big fan of Isaac, but let's start. So first of all, because I've been a fan of it for so long, I actually have the Kickstarter edition of Hardstopper. This has French flaps, which I don't believe the first one does not have. This one has French flaps. It's not in color. It's in black and white, grayscale. It's a little bit bigger, as you can see. You can see kind of the differences. This is the Kickstarter edition. This is the official Scholastic edition. You can see the differences, but you can also see the similarities. And this bad boy, it's so awesome that she was able to kickstart a graphic novel. That's wonderful. So Hardstopper, oh my gosh. I didn't even talk about what it's about. So it's about Nick and Charlie. This is Charlie, this is Nick. It says on the cover somewhere, boy meets boy. Well, on this, so the back covers are different. Oh, this is such a good back cover, though. Anyway, boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. So it's about Nick and Charlie. They are in the U.S. equivalents of 10th and 11th grade, or 9th and 10th grade, actually, I think. You know what? It's confusing to me. Year 10, year 11. So grade 9, grade 10. Yeah. They meet, they're in the same homeroom or equivalent grammar level. I don't know because I didn't go to school in the UK, but they meet in the same homeroom type thing and basically become friends. And Nick is bro dude, rugby lad, and Charlie is little nerdy gay boy, and Charlie starts to crush really hard on Nick, and it is basically just about their friendship. There's a bunch of other characters. There's Tara and Darcy, and we have Alid and Tao and Elle. And so there's lots of other characters whose story you get glimpses of. And especially if you follow the webcomic, you get a lot of AUs and mini comics about these other characters, which I would highly recommend checking out because they are adorable and wonderful and awesome. Basically, you just fall in love with Nick and Charlie and the world that they're a part of. There is nothing about this world that I do not like. There's actually nothing. I don't like Ben, but I feel you're not supposed to like Ben, and so that is totally understandable. I don't like Ben, but nothing about this world that I don't like. And also, let me tell you, the soundtrack for the show has some really good songs on it. Not all of them I'm a fan of, but you know what? That's okay. But we've got like Chloe Moriando and Bidabadoo or whatever her name is. I'm so sorry. I don't listen to her. Baby Queen. That show got me onto Baby Queen. We love Baby Queen. Anyway, so the show is also good. The show expands a little bit more on the other characters in the graphic novel. It's more, like it is more of an expansion on the graphic novel. So anyway, that is kind of a really quick overview of Hardstopper. I feel like I talk about Hardstopper so often. It is one of my favorite graphic novels, favorite series, favorite literary events to ever happen that like, I can't, I could talk, I like could just gush about it all day. So I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to say, here's my Kickstarter edition. I also have, of course, the original, like the official editions. I have the official edition of 1 and a volume 2. I love the cover design, by the way. Alice Oseman, just volume 3 and volume 4. Oh, and also, look at the way their faces, do you see that? That is so clever and cute, and I absolutely adore it. So I love looking at these on my shelf. Just lovely. And then because I have the Kickstarter edition, and I also have the German edition because my friend went to Germany and was like, hey, I know you don't speak German, but they have Hardstopper. And I was like, all right. She got it for me as a present. And I actually started tearing up because that was so sweet. So I do have 3 editions of the first book. And like, I want to get the French editions because I can read French. So this is my Hardstopper. Ow, that hurt. That hit my collarbone. That really actually kind of hurt. Ouch. This is my Hardstopper collection. And the only critique I have is that sometimes there's a lot of words. But like, that's fine. Okay, Alice Oseman knows how to do character expressions. Oh my goodness. Her art style is just so fun and it fits so well with the story. And I'm sorry about the weird lighting. I'm just realizing that now. I can't help it. Hardstopper is, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So anyway, one final thing. I do have the Hardstopper yearbook. This is, I don't know. It has a lot of like profile pages. Oh, that's an index page, but like drawings. It's just very fun. I enjoy it a lot. Profile pages, there you go. And it is just kind of like get to know everyone in the Hardstopper universe and a little bit about the creation of Hardstopper. And it's just fun. And so that's fun. The only thing, so I don't have the Hardstopper coloring book, but that's because I don't really want it. That is the only Alice Oseman published book, I believe, as far as I know, that I do not have. But that's my Hardstopper collection. Let's move on to novels. So the first novel that Alice Oseman published is Solitaire. This is about Tori. Tori Spring is Charlie Spring from Nick and Charlie's older sister. But Tori is kind of your typical Tumblr, not emo, but just like girl. Like she's very cynical and she's not happy. Here's the back. My name is Tori Spring. I like to sleep and I like to blog. Last year I had friends. Things were different, I guess, but that's all over now. Now there's Solitaire and Michael Holden. I don't know what Solitaire are trying to do, and I don't care about Michael Holden. I really don't. That gives you a little glimpse into who Michael is. But she's very cynical, very sarcastic, very, just does not really care about what's going on. She kind of just exists. She has the world. She's just existing in it. She's not necessarily happy. She's not necessarily super sad. She's just sort of existing in the world. At least that's how I perceive it. Okay, this is all, of course, my own perceptions, and someone else might say something else. But this is how I perceive it. And it's been a while since I've read these. But this follows Tori as she's going to school, and she gets wrapped up in this interesting online, like, prank thing that's going on around her school. I, again, don't know how it works, but from my understanding, in the last 2 years of school, so year 12 and 13, you go to grammar school, and they can be all gender instead of boys and girls. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually know. Tori gets wrapped up in this online prank. She's trying to figure out who Solitaire, this online prank blog creator, is, what they're trying to do. In that as well, there's he's not a man, he's a boy. There's a boy named Michael Holden who has kind of become friends and a little bit interested in Tori, and Tori's like, what do you want? Like, I don't have friends. And Michael's like, but what about me? Basically. So it's about Tori figuring out who Solitaire is, but also making friends and learning how to kind of exist in the world as it changes. And I think there are aspects of this that you can tell it's a debut novel, but honestly, I don't care. I can't say it's one of my favorite. I'm going to rank everything at the end, I think, but the reason I can't say it's one of my favorites is because they're all going to be one of my favorite Alice Oseman books, except for the one that is my least favorite, but it's still absolutely wonderful because, again, I love Alice Oseman, everything about her. I want to be friends with her. I want to just... So anyway, this takes place after the events of Nick and Charlie and Hardstopper, but it's very good. And I've tabbed it a lot, and it's time to reread, I think. It's been 6 months, so ready to go again. Also, the US cover for this, it's so good. I'm so excited for the US edition of this. Oh my goodness. So anyway, Solitaire, you learn about Tori Spring. Love it. It's not a love story. Let's talk about Nick and Charlie and This Winter. So all of these books, I think, take place in the same universe, and there are crossovers. Definitely Radio Silence and Solitaire, Nick and Charlie, Hardstopper all take place in the same, town. In the same, very intimate character sphere, we have Nick and Charlie and This Winter. These are both novellas. So This Winter deals with, this is spoiler alert, so I'm not really going to go into it, but Charlie has a mental health crisis. It's sort of between books 2 and 3, I think, of Hardstopper. It might be 3 and 4, but it happens during the Hardstopper. Yes, hi. Hello. Yes, hi. What do you want? Charlie has a mental health crisis, and this talks about the Christmas day, basically. It's told in the perspective of Tori, who is the oldest spring child, then Charlie, and then also Oliver, who is not in the TV show, which is sad, but who is the younger brother of Charlie and Tori. And it's just about the Christmas day and what goes down. And there's a lot to it. It packs a punch, and there's some illustrations in it, which is adorable. Then we have Nick and Charlie, which is also a novella. This takes place after the current events, as far as we've updated of Hardstopper, it takes place after. It is when Nick is going to graduate and go to university, and Charlie is head boy. Spoiler alert, I don't really think that's a spoiler. Of course he's going to be head boy. He's the smartest kid in the class. It is just about they hit a rough patch and have to navigate that, and it is about that, and mainly about the anxiety of leaving for university and when you have a partner that you love very much. So those are the 2 novellas. They're very spoiler, so I would recommend reading Hardstopper first. I would obviously recommend reading Hardstopper. If you haven't read Hardstopper and you're watching this video, stop and go read Hardstopper. You can literally read it for free on Tapas or Tumblr. Why haven't you read it yet? Okay. So the next book I'll talk about, I've talked about this one a lot. It's Radio Silence. Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Maybe my favorite book, but there's also Loveless. But let's talk about Radio Silence. So this follows Alid, who is the creator of this podcast. She's eating a Q-tip. I don't want you to eat this. Boop, 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 boop. Alid is shy, quiet, one of Charlie's very good friends, and pretty scared to go to university. And we also follow Frances, who is smart and has made that her entire personality. She really, really likes to draw, and she really likes this podcast, Universe City. Alid and Frances meet because, Alid and Frances meet, and then also Alid reaches out to Frances's online persona as the creator of Universe City and says, hey, do you want to create fan art? So they become really, really close friends. But then some shit goes down. And Alid and Frances hit a rough patch. Again, a lot of friendship testing trials in these books, which I think is super important. It's not always about romance. This is not at all a romance, even though it takes place, you think, between a heteronormative boy-girl becoming friends. No, it's not a romance at all. Anyway, so it's about friendship and figuring out who you are and what you want from life. And it's really hits home for maybe my age group when I first read it. Talks a lot about university and college and going away and what and like whether you follow your passions or you do things that are going to make you successful in life. And it's about friendship and priorities. And there is a lot going on in this. And it is absolutely beautiful. Every time I've read this, I read it in a day. I cannot put it down. Every time. I've read it 3 times now. And again, I'm due for a reread. All of these books, by the way, I've read more than once. At least twice. So, Radio Silence, I've just read 3 times. Because I love Alice Oseman so much. And if I could have like an Alice Oseman box set with me on a desert island, I think I would be happy to just sit there and read Alice Oseman until I died. It would be fine with me. So, that's Radio Silence. If you read any of these, Radio Silence is the one to read. All right, and then we have Loveless. I have 2 different editions of Loveless. This is the US edition. This is the UK edition. I read the US edition. I like the US edition better because of the illustration on the cover. No offense to the illustrator of the UK covers, but Alice Oseman's art just on her books. Why wouldn't you do that? So anyway, Loveless follows Georgia, who is never been kissed. She goes to university and she's like, I'm going to be kissed. She doesn't really like it. And it's about her self-discovery, about asexuality. This is a really good book to read if you think you might be asexual or even demisexual, or you have any questions about your sexuality and why you might not like kissing someone. It is so powerful. Made me sob. And in addition to being about Georgia, it's also about the friendship she has with Jason and Pip, and how going to university tries that friendship, and her roommate Rooney, and just discovering herself at university as this new person. It's about friendship. It's about sexuality. It's about coming of age. It is funny as well. It's like heartbreaking, but there's also moments of humor. And Alice Oseman does just a wonderful job of balancing this self-discovery with humor and love. There's just so much went into this book. You can tell how much Alice Oseman cares about her writing for all of these books, but for Loveless especially. And I think Alice Oseman has talked about how this one was the hardest one for her to write because of how personal it is. And you can really tell and just feel it. And it is so, lovely. Big fan of Loveless. And the last book that I have here, the last novel, is I Was Born for This. I do have the US edition and the UK edition again. This one is more a bigger stage, I guess. So this follows world famous pop band, The Ark, and Angel. And Angel is going to get to go see The Ark and meet her internet best friend in London. And she is pumped. So excited. And it's great. It's going to be great. But then things kind of go awry because we also follow Jimmy. Jimmy is trans. Oh, God. Dang it. The representation. I might cry. I might just cry. Jimmy. Oh, I might just cry. Give me a second here. So Jimmy is trans and has really bad anxiety. Hello, who are we talking about here? Anyway, Jimmy freaks out and bumps into Angel. And then their stories start to intertwine. And it is about, again, friendship. All of these books have such a very, very prominent theme of friendship, but it's about friendship and being famous and meeting people, like internet friendships and just fandoms. And this book is wonderful. All of these books are absolutely wonderful. So it is the next day. She's so full of energy. I just wanted to say that one of the things I really admire about Alice Oseman is how kind of diverse her cast of characters are. We have the diversity in her cast of characters, and then we also have the diversity in her love language. She is, I mean, obviously Hardstopper is queer, but almost every book by Alice Oseman is queer. In fact, every book by Alice Oseman is queer. And I just want to say that I really admire that. That is one of the things that really stands out to me, is that we don't have heteronormativity in Alice Oseman. We do not have romance. Like, romance is never the main plot point in Alice Oseman, except for in Nick and Charlie. But that, of course, it is a romance. It never just romance for the sake of romance. It's always comes from somewhere else, and it's about friendship. She writes such intricate, engaging stories that are not just tropes, and I am so glad to have discovered her, I guess. Shout out to my friend Mimi, who was the person who recommended her to me so many years ago. Just really, really wonderful stuff, and I'm kind of, I just wanted to shout out how diverse and interesting and non-heteronormative Alice Oseman's characters are, because that is super important to me, and it might matter to you as well. And so that's my last thing. Just thought I would mention that, shout it out while I was editing. I kind of forgot to just say overall how much I admire Alice Oseman's general capability to write such interesting, wonderful stories. So I think I've talked a lot about Alice Oseman. Can you tell she's one of my favorite authors of the entire world? Let's rank them from least favorite to most favorite. This is going to be really hard. My least favorite, I hate to say this because it's so good, and my least favorite still does not mean like a book that I do not like, but my least favorite Alice Oseman book, and again, or that is an oxymoron, least favorite Alice Oseman book, excuse me, who is that? It's the Hardstopper Yearbook. I don't really count this as a book necessarily, like obviously it's a book, but it's more of a fun info sheet. So that's my least favorite. Just, okay, understandable, putting it aside. My next favorite, let's go up the list. My next favorite, and again, it's only second to last because I just love everything else more, not because I don't love it. And that is I Was Born for This. I don't even know. I literally, it's just so good, okay? And I can't, amazing, just amazing. And why does it have to be second to last? Why? I don't know. It just does. It just has to be, because I have to put something there, and it's going to be I Was Born for This. But I Was Born for This was amazing, and if you are a fandom person, you will relate more hardcore to this book than I did. But still, being an anxious trans boy, I relate to Jimmy very hard. All right. My next favorite up on this list is probably going to be, this is so stupid. Why do I have to rate them? Why am I ranking them? My next favorite is Solitaire. Again, I absolutely love this book. I just love the other ones more. Solitaire, I love you. And then this is really, really hard. I think it's going to be Radio Silence next. Because following Radio Silence, which is one of my favorite books of all time, is Loveless. And Loveless hit home for me in a way that Radio Silence didn't. Loveless is incredible. Absolutely, heart and soul that went into this book is just so powerful and incredible, and wow. And then, of course, all of the Hardstopper. I don't want to be one. I know. Okay. I'm gonna hold up book 4 because it's cute. Hardstopper is probably just one of my favorite things that Alice Oseman has created, and it's hard to kind of rank it because it doesn't really compare to Loveless in the same way because it's a graphic novel and it's very different. But of all the stories, this is the world that I live in the most. I have reread the comic countless times. I can read all of it in a day. It's a webcomic. And it just spends so much time in this world that it has to be number one. And it is so good. everything that Alice Oseman writes just makes my heart so happy, okay? So happy. My heart is so happy right now. Anyway, Alice Oseman is my favorite author, at least one of them of all time. And I hope that you read something by Alice Oseman because she deserves your money. She deserves your love. She deserves your money. Follow her on Instagram. I don't know. Alice Oseman, do you want me to be your personal, like, representative? Because I could definitely, everything you do, I love. I'm so excited for the US editions of Solitaire and Nick and Charlie. And I'm so excited for Hardstopper Season 2, which just finished filming. Oh my goodness. I'm just pumped for everything. Everything Alice Oseman, I am pumped. I really want to be friends with them. Really want to be friends with them. So bad. And just that brain. I'm sorry. This is amazing. Career goals, everything, love it. Absolutely wonderful. Please, 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 please read something. Even if it's just Hardstopper. Hardstopper's free. I know. So, thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you had an enjoyable time listening to me rant about Alice Oseman. I love Alice Oseman so much. Just something, it just plucks at my heartstrings, hits a chord in me, the soul, the heart, everything. Anyway, I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in my next one, which will hopefully be soon. And have a lovely rest of your, whatever you're having. Day, morning, evening. I love you all again. See you shortly.